Hello, 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 and welcome to the Rag Company Podcast. I'm Dane Hennen. To my right, Levi Gates.
Oh, baby, 125.
Woo!
New year, new me.
Ooh.
Oh, man.
Across from
Stronger
me,
than ever.
Anthony Fisher.
Yeah, new year. Pretty much the same.
Oh, okay.
Same
guy.
you, same you. All right, and to my left, Morgan McMurray.
Hey guys, what's up?
Oh,
Very nice.
energetic. Love it.
Okay,
Coming in with
so this
With a
is
bang.
us.
With a
This
bang.
is the Rag
That's
Company
right.
Podcast. We are enjoying the new year so far. I think it's been
it's been
all right.
It's treated us all, I guess, somewhat okay. You had
minus my flat tire.
yeah.
Not a flat tire this
starting
morning.
the year off right.
Yeah.
I got pulled over last week.
Oh, they've
So-
been very active recently.
Yeah, so, Thursday I was able to get on the second, kind of got that one out of the way,
Okay.
so
Maybe it'll be your
ticket or
only
no
one of
ticket?
the year.
no ticket.
Woo, party.
There.
So Idaho had come through with a couple different changes in there, the way they do things. So in the Meridian area, it is a no cell phone policy.
It is, yeah.
Just in
So-
Meridian, though?
Just in Meridian.
Yeah.
Boise's like, eh.
Yeah. So you guys can't even pull out your phones
Right.
when you're even at a stop sign.
Correct, yeah.
You have to go hands-free completely.
See, I use a magnetic mount in
Right,
the car,
and that's
which
fine.
is pretty handy. I just mount it up on the vent. But
If they
there's
see you changing your songs,
always that instance where it's
you're
like,
gonna
good
get
thing I
pulled
have
over.
steering wheel controls.
Yeah.
But still, it's one of those kind of like, maybe not. You know, you catch it with your hand over there. Like in 2007, 2008, I was down in California when they first implemented their cell phone ban, and that was like militant. They were all over that. So
Well, you
seeing it
said on
again
the
here
way
was
in-
just like, wow, this is like almost 10 years, over 10 years
Yeah.
later, and we're finally getting it up here.
Well, the Boise Police Department had to try and figure out the BPD guys. I see them. I love them. They're great
Yeah.
officers, but they like to text on their phone as well. I
Yeah.
see them more times than not on their own phones.
Sorry, nobody's innocent here. But I
so-
will say, texting and driving is
Kudos
a bad
to-
idea.
kudos
Do
to
not
Meridian.
drive and text.
So Friday, you said when you were driving in, you said there was a very large police presence on the road,
Yes.
more so than you'd ever seen to start the new year off.
Just you notice around every corner, you're like, oh, there's a pair of blue and red lights on
Yeah,
top of the car.
I've literally seen more people pulled over since January 1st than I think I saw the entire year of
So
2019.
two
And
things.
I couldn't tell if they were just trying to make a show of it, because normally you're like, oh, it's quarter time or something.
Well, it was like
but-
that when they did the seatbelt law.
Yeah. But a lot of it is like
do
we're
you remember-
educating
Yeah.
the citizenry
But in
on how this will all
2002,
work.
I think it was 2001, 2002, Boise passed the seatbelt law, meaning you had to wear a seatbelt
Shocking.
when you
Do
drove
you?
your car.
Oh, God.
And if you didn't, you got a $5 ticket.
5.
Yeah.
And I'm
Get you
not
started
poking fun at it because it's a bad idea. I'm poking fun at it because, wow, that's kind of late for us to be
Well,
adopting.
that's what they did, right? So I remember it was probably 2000, maybe 2003 even. But it was 2003. They implemented the seatbelt ticket. And I remember I was driving my truck, my 73 Chevrolet
It's probably just
pickup.
a lap belt.
It was a
huh?
lap belt.
Yeah.
Officer pulled me over because he said I don't see you're not wearing your seatbelt. And I said, "But you must have X-ray vision," and pointed like downwards, and he saw my lap belt. He's like, "Huh, this truck doesn't have 3-point harnesses, huh?" And I was like, "Nope, you can see there's some holes.
Would you like to look
There's
at
some, there's some panels with some metal around that I could punch out and then mount a 3-point, but this is a 73 Chevy pickup. Doesn't have it."
Same with emissions. I'm not, held to the
Yeah.
same standard that newer cars are.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So basically, two things happened this year or this last week was the zero phone tolerance for Meridian, and then Boise filed a thing basically stating that they were asking that all insurance information be given to the registration office, basically, so that they could check and make sure that all cars, through doing just a normal plate scan, they could find out the insurance status of every driver.
that's both good and seems like a real easy way to target people if you just
Yep.
felt like it. That seems a little
Yeah.
bit.
So I got pulled over.
If someone doesn't have insurance, they shouldn't be driving on the road.
Right, they shouldn't.
No, but there's
a lot of
other
people that-
implications to that.
So
that
that's
I think if you read
so that
between
got
the lines,
me.
you kind of get.
I
what's
got pulled
going
over
on
for that.
there.
They basically said like, "Hey, we noticed your car stated didn't have insurance," and I was like, "That's weird. I have insurance," and then I felt like a dummy because I had the old insurance card that expired on the 19th of December, and I hadn't put the new one in yet. So I was like, I have insurance. Well, okay, I don't have this one for the newest policy. And so I said, policy number's the same, should be good. He's like, yeah. He went back, checked everything, came back, said, Mr. Gates, I believe you. You know, how far away are you driving to? And I was like, I'm literally half a mile from work here. And he was like, okay, have a good day.
Yeah.
See you later. I then called my insurance agent and said, hey, I got pulled over for this. And she's like, let's read back the VIN. Let's make sure. She's like, nope, that's the VIN I have on file. You're good to go. I've sent it. She goes, but I will tell you, 90% of the calls today that have come into my office have been about people getting pulled over and the officers saying they didn't have insurance.
Yeah.
So pretty crazy.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, though, my policy number is the same. At that point, if you know your stuff's active, then you're okay. It's just you don't have a current card in the car. Okay, fine. There was this responsibility aspect to that. But if it's the same policy number, you can call and you can verify if it's in the middle of the day.
And what I had her do, I had her just send me copies of the new policy cards, and I just printed them off here at work, threw them in the car on the drive home just in case. So if I got, if the cops were still out there just trying to
Well, that's why I don't even like having the paper cards because I feel like they either always get misplaced or I can never find them.
Or by the time you do find them, they're outdated.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, this one expired 6 months ago. Sorry, I didn't get the new one from my parents' house.
Right.
So I just use the app because literally, like,
that was going to be my next point.
You know,
was
like I'm a young person.
The app
I
is
can't
always
keep
up
track
to
of
date.
paper anyway. I don't want to keep track of paper.
The police just have to get used to that. They have to look at your phone.
And they normally do. I'm like, I have
they
the
just
app.
wanna,
Is that
they
okay?
want to make sure that you have it, and that's what they care about.
Yeah.
So, anyway, how was your guys'? Did you guys have a good weekend or anything like that? I drove down to Utah.
Yeah.
And I was very excited because I was able to utilize my new Continental Extreme Contact Sports that I have on the Camry.
Wow.
ZR rated radial, all season.
Wow.
Perfect for the random road conditions I would encounter on the way down
Boxes,
to
pallets.
Utah. It did not encounter any boxes or pallets this week, which was very nice. I did accidentally run over some sort of animal that had already previously been run over. It was one of those like, oh my gosh, that's in the middle of the road.
And it's too late.
Too late. Luckily, it was already pre-smashed.
Pre-smashed.
That's nice.
But I did have a crunch when I went over it. But, yeah. But other than that, we did I held an IDA CD in a day event, CD and SV training at Butco Distributing down in South Salt Lake. For those of you wondering, I do call South Salt Lake East Stabbington. It is a very different part of the city.
Liz has told me about the different parts of the city, and I'm like, really, in the Salt Lake area? And she's like, yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
So it was fun when my wife was like, why are you doing that? I was like, it's South Salt Lake. Ooh, East Stabbington. So that is a...
Downton Stabby.
Yeah, Downton Stabby. But yeah, it was good. I had 9 people show up, including a few detailers that fans of the show. Patty from Veteran Detail sent one of his guys down to actually do the CDSV and get himself certified and skills validated.
Great.
So really good stuff. We are planning on probably doing another one in May. So those of you that didn't get to make it, we will plan on doing another one in May, and I do recommend that you guys take the time to come get the exam done.
Is that one going to be here, or is it going to be
No, it'll be down there in Budco.
Okay,
I'm going to
cool.
do another one in Budco, down in Budco in Utah.
Nice.
Probably in May, just because we had such a great turnout. And a lot of guys, holidays just getting over with.
Yeah.
They're trying to schedule as much work as they can. Because, again, there's about 6 inches of snow, in areas that were just there. So it's wintertime. They're not as busy. So the guys are trying to take the jobs as they get them. And so I totally understood. A lot of them were like, man, I got a car.
It's
I got to do
months.
it. Yeah. So totally fine. We missed you guys that were coming, but it was a great time.
But
hung
there's
out.
May.
Yeah. Hung out with the family. Got to take the wife and kids down. Kids got to do some sledding. They loved it. It was great. But Dane, you had an issue with your tires this morning.
Yeah,
And we're looking at
wasn't
probably
fun.
buying some new ones you're going to need, maybe, possibly.
So I'm eyeballing some new options. But, wanted to take the Jag to work because it wasn't snow on the ground. So I'm like,
it was
still go.
icy.
It was
And,
snowing.
Very icy.
Wow.
I
There
took
was
the
some
Suburban.
Arguably
nuts.
more dangerous
More
today.
dangerous conditions today than any other day
Yeah.
because of the amount of ice on the road.
It's very light drizzle. It was 37 degrees. I was fine with it. So I drove
Okay.
about...
My Suburban was covered in actual ice chunks.
I tried to open my door this morning, and the door was actually frozen shut.
Yeah. So apparently it
So
was...
I had to
I keep
pull
the
it
Jag
from
in the
the
garage.
bottom.
So It was fine.
But your garage is safe, but the outside is what was
what's not
covered in
safe,
ice.
So you
The days
Frozen,
that I
the
won't
road's
take it,
very slick.
the days that I won't take it,
Rear-wheel
are the
drive,
days
550 horsepower.
6 feet of snow on the
the days when my driveway, since it's on an incline, is icy. I
So you
will
just
not
put it
take
in neutral. You just slid
I
down
just
the
won't.
driveway.
No,
You
I
just
just
let
won't.
it back down a little bit and let gravity take it.
Okay, point is, I made it about a mile, and then suddenly a little light came on. I'm like, oh, great, what's this? And it was a tire pressure monitoring system. I'm like, okay, well, luckily, this one is at least because, I've driven mostly older cars. This one, I'm like, oh, this actually tells you what tire is the problem. It, shows on a diagram. It's like, here, this one. Pick this one, check it out. So I go, I find a gas station with one of those little exact air stations. Thank God they let you swipe a card now, which is nice, instead of having to find change.
I have a pocket full of change at all times.
I have an
to.
air compressor solution package at my
I do
house.
too.
And see, I used to have one, and then it broke. So it's time for a new thing.
Well, I told
But
Dane if he wanted, he could take that 60-gallon, throw it in the back of the Jag, take it home with him.
Yeah.
That way, in case in the morning this happens again, he could just top it off.
that is the opposite of weight reduction. Just imagine.
It's got a hatchback. It'll work.
Just wheeling the whole way home.
Throws out his back.
So I plug in the actual nozzle, and it reads back to me 10 psi, and I'm going, oh, wow.
Well, air
And
down for traction.
I want to point out, on these tires, since they're lower profile, they don't pancake like a much higher sidewall tire would, so you don't notice it when you're looking at it. It looks more or less the same, but 10 psi ain't much. They should be about 40 or so.
Yeah.
So I ran it up, and everything was okay after that, but I suspect there is a decent slow leak. It probably just ran over a really, really, really long goat head or something, because that's happened to me in other cars before. My driveway, unfortunately, I get a few off in the gravel. Anyway, I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to replace them, but you guys were giving me some suggestions. So, the suggestions were...
Now, this is a
What?
car that you're going to daily drive.
Yes.
Why not go with something like the Continental Extreme Sport Contact? It's still a ZR-rated radial. Very nice looking sidewalls. Very
Really
smooth.
like those.
Very great tire. And on the drive back from Utah, I was doing 100 in the snow.
I don't think so.
Slushy
That's,
roads.
Granted, that's
felt like
front-wheel drive.
Felt like a mountain goat.
I believe it.
So, just saying, there's some great. Those are good looking tires too.
Yeah.
Now, Anthony did provide an even better option that I honestly, as a summer tire, I would like to put on the Elantra.
See, I'm kind of thinking about just get a summer set and a winter set, and then just rotate them.
Dean, that's why you have that's why you have the Explorer Sport Track.
Yeah, but it's just not fun
Did
to
you have
drive.
saloons on those on the Explorer?
Well, the tires on the Sport Track are new. I bought
But they're
those for it.
saloons, right? SALUMs.
I'm not
I
familiar
believe they
with the
call them
term.
Shalom.
Salum.
Shalom.
I
Salums.
have no idea what's being
Shallow.
said right now.
Salum. Salum.
Scallop.
I think they're scallop tires.
I got them at
Delicious
Les
scallops.
Schwab. I got them at Les Schwab.
I got my Maxxis Razor MTs at Les Schwab as well.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, you could have chosen a more aggressive tread pattern, maybe perhaps an open country.
Yeah, I chose
Or
a
rough-
normal passenger car tire because I didn't know how
RT
long the owner of the
for
vehicle.
a four-wheel drive truck.
RT
Okay.
rough terrain.
It's not so weak sauce that it's just a really pathetic
Okay.
tread pattern. It's enough, but it's
It is a
definitely
nice
not.
it is a nice
it's not an
tire.
off-roadery kind
Right,
of thing.
right.
No.
It's just a road passenger.
Let's face it, the Sport Track just needs tires to roll off to the new owner. And that's,
that's
pretty
about-
much
that
all
is about it.
needs.
Dane is
I got
literally
a
doesn't
fun
really
story
care
this
about that
weekend
truck.
about car shopping again. So
So,
I
well,
never
tell us.
stop.
So Anthony, what tires were you talking about?
yeah,
for
tell
the-
me.
Some of the Firehawk Indy 500 tires.
Good-looking tire.
The official tire of NASCAR.
The official tire
I
of
don't know
of Anthony's.
You
Evo.
realize how that sounds, right? The Indy 500, the official car or official tire of NASCAR. What?
It's
Yeah.
the official tire of NASCAR, but it's not the tires that actually run at
Yeah.
NASCAR.
No,
They're
not
called
actually.
Indy 500s.
Yeah,
dude.
so it's not at all. But anyways, they're just really good tires. So they're actually the outside of the U.S. They are the Bridgestone R003 or R03 is RE03. Super aggressive tread pattern. They look really, really
Look
good.
really
They
cool.
do look cool.
They're just a cool looking tire. They have a 340 tread wear, which is really good for a high performance tire. But dude, when I got those on the Evo, I never really had like sticky tires before, and They pick up everything. So like, you know what I mean? On, right when you start rolling down on some gravel, some loose stuff, you hear
put
all
some rally
the
armor mud flaps on the
you'll hear
new mod.
You'll hear all the
mod.
sand and everything, but I'm telling you, they ride like a dream and they're quiet. And then they are just really sticky. I mean, when I took the carp to Bogus to go just run them through their works, I was like, holy crap. I didn't have tires like that before, so I didn't know what that was like, and I realized how much fun it was. So I would say that those tires, I hope that Firehawk or Firestone continues to sell those tires for like years on end, because I'd love to pick some up for the Civic if it's an option.
We make them that small?
They do.
They do, Morgan.
boy.
Oh,
It's not the size that matters; it's just how
okay. I mean, you're right.
you drive it. So basically, I am, I'm a huge supporter of those
Okay.
tires. If you want to get them,
I don't know, Morgan. Do you have any suggestions on that front?
what are you on, Morgan?
No, I have Nan King.
Oh,
Yeah.
Say that like that's a bad thing.
She said it in a
Nan-
really sad tone.
Nan
so.
Kings.
Well, you can't flex them.
You
Oh,
can't-
okay,
No, you're not putting tire letters on Nan Kings.
Yeah.
You're putting someone else's brand on top.
So now on the Camry,
I wish I've seen
on the
before.
Camry, I did have Toyo Proxys plus 4s on the Camry. They were a good tire, but
Yeah.
they wore very quickly. I had about 2 years of life on those tires and only about 30,000 miles. And so I exchanged them for the Continentals. They were under warranty, so I was able to get some money back on them to go towards the purchase of those new Connies.
Okay.
If it's a car like my family cars, I
Yeah.
try to put a very nice tire on because I want to make sure, one, that I get all the benefits of the tire properly as well as the warranty as best possible.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about you want to be able to walk in and pick up a tire.
And I can't do that
and
with
you
my
can't,
sizes.
You can't do that
Just
when you
can't.
get into these, like my Camry's got 18s on it.
Yeah.
You can't always do that. So I usually try and schedule the date, and then I usually try and do a bit of tire
Therapy.
Not tire therapy. I
Oh.
do tire education.
Yeah.
I want to do my due diligence, and I want to make sure it's something that they can get.
Yeah.
What I liked about the Connies was they are spec'd on all the Mercedes that have all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
That is one of their, they spec'd an extreme contact.
No, yeah, the Extreme Contact
Extreme
was
Sport
one I looked
Contact
at,
tire.
and then the Michelin PS4s were another one I
Yeah.
was eyeballing. I'm like, oh, those are really good options. I want something that obviously has like a minimal amount of road noise and stuff like that. You want to have in a car like that, you want it to be comfortable still. Yeah, it's sporty, but you also want to have like some degree of comfort. You don't want to be feeling every single little divot in the road, especially if it's already lowered. But no, yeah, those are all things to consider. And I hope I'm not boring people with tire talk. I just thought it was kind of an interesting.
Well, I think a
different
lot of people
avenue
don't
than
think
normal.
about. A lot of people go in and just buy what's on
Yeah,
the
they're
rack.
just like, what's on the menu,
or what's the
yeah,
They'll
that.
tell
cheapest
you,
tire.
they'll say, this is what we have in your size.
Yeah.
And the reason I had those tires is because I brought my wheels in. Once I bought the wheels, I bought them with no tires on them. And I said, hey, I need a set of wheels. And they were like, oh, well, this is all we can put on there. And this is the only size that we're allowed to put on there because of how wide they are.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not putting any
They're
of
not gonna
these
stretch
other.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is all that this is the max, that we can put on there. And I'm
legally,
like,
because if you're going to a tire shop, they've got their own
Yeah.
rules that they have to
Yeah.
abide by.
Nobody
so
wants
that they
to be
don't get
liable for
sued.
that.
Yeah, they don't want to be liable on that. So
You see all the kids with the poke and the stretch and it's like, okay, they had somebody do that for them specifically, but or they have a setup at home, which that stuff's expensive, man. But all things to consider. I just thought it was kind of interesting. But I know there are people who have strong feelings about like all seasons versus winter tires.
Yeah.
They're like all season, more like no season. They're not good at anything.
right,
Turn into
and
the-
I've come into that as well, and I've had some. But on my cars that are going to be driving,
They're drivers.
they're going to be drivers, and they're going to be doing
Yeah.
a lot of double duty in the sense they're a road trip car. They're the family hauler. They're the car that I'm driving the most, or my wife is driving the most. I want to put something good. Now on the Elantra, it's a high-performance machine. I put some
High-performance
Mastercrafts
machine.
on there.
Yeah.
Very inexpensive, high-quality tire that I've put a couple sets on, but I've gotten my money out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like being able to just have something that I can get a good.
Sure.
I'm gonna have to probably buy 2 more next spring or end of summer and end of season. I maybe got one season left on 2 of the tires.
Wow.
But I put 2 new ones this year at the beginning of the year on there. So, one
Yeah.
of those things. What do you got on the Civic? Are you looking at only wanting to put Indies on the Civic? Because you do have studded snow tires.
Correct. Yeah, but my other set, my Koenig, my decograms.
Right.
I would have to say that basically.
It's just a stock tire.
No, the tires they're Century with an S, right?
Oh, Centuries with an S.
Ooh.
They were
Century.
$68 a tire, and honestly, they're fantastic tires.
Yeah,
I would
they
totally buy
work
them
fine.
again. And I think they fit.
And that's how those Mastercrafts
they
are.
fit. They fit good. They don't have the most aggressive tread pattern, but I mean, realistically, dude, how crazy would it be to like throw on some like Toyo R888s, which are arguably one of my favorite looking tires of all time.
Yeah.
But like they have like what 100 treadwear, 100 treadwear or something like that.
Somewhere
They have like
Very
nothing,
low. Yeah.
super low. So that wouldn't be realistic. So like probably the Indies, but yeah, because the tires that I have on the Civic right now, I was actually when I took them off and I was doing like a deep clean on them, I was noticing that like having some camber wear.
Yeah.
for sure.
What?
So
Yeah. That's how the Elantra has
So,
as
you
well,
know a thing or
especially
two about
since
that.
I
I
actually don't have
well,
camber wear.
what?
Like
I
I
have-
mean, like a normal
Yeah.
small
Okay.
amount.
I
but
have
don't
camber wear on the back of the Elantra because of the Tibby sway bar mod.
yeah,
I've noticed it's starting to, and I did have a little bit of squat.
yeah. So I'm gonna have
set,
to
so
figure that out. But what I'm gonna do is I have my camber kits from my car I never put on.
Oh, that's
so
right,
I'm gonna put
yeah.
on my front and rear once spring rolls around or once the
that'll be
weather
nice.
warms up. And then I'll decide, I'll throw the wheels and tires on, go get them aligned, and then from there I'll decide what would be the next step for tires, and we'll figure it out.
So would you say the Centuries are good for a $60 tire, or just good tires compared to other tires you've had?
Now I say they're fantastic for a $60 tire, but they also do. But I had them on there. I've had them on there for 3 years.
They can hang
Yeah.
with the better
Had them
tires.
on there for 3
Yeah.
years.
yeah, as a
and
daily driver, they've been great.
3 years, and I've put, well, I'd probably say, I would say I've probably put about 30,000 miles on them
Okay.
at this point, and just now are they starting to show camber wear after I lowered it after all this
Right,
time
yeah.
to where I'm running, some flatter looking spots on the inside. But I'm like, I got my money worth, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I got $300 worth of tire out of those. Absolutely.
Well,
So,
and fortunately, at the Civic size, you don't have to worry about huge expenses either. 'Cause,
No.
Yeah, that's a little friendlier. Mine is going to be a little
So
steep.
if you got yourself like a nice tire for the Jag,
Mhm.
like a summer tire, we'll say like that, like the Indy, would you? Because I know you want to daily drive this. Are you looking at getting a winter set?
Yeah, I would probably bite the bullet and get like not Blizzax, but like a Conti winter set or something like that.
There's a Falcon, I think, winter set that I had on or I might actually have Falcons on the Elantra right now.
Okay.
A Falcon winter tire that has been really good.
Yeah, I want to do some research on it.
Or a
before I
hand
commit
cook.
to any of those.
I think it's a hand cook.
just because whatever I get, I want it to like last me a while. But I've been waiting for a huge snowstorm. We haven't gotten one yet. It's like, come on, it's right on the cusp. This week looks like it's going to have.
It's going
some.
to have like 5 or 6 days of snow.
So we'll see if it stays cold enough to preserve it or not. But any rate, didn't want to bore people too much with the tire talk.
Well,
I just thought it was an interesting
I think a lot of
thing.
people don't. And one thing I always look forward to is I like a nice sidewall.
Yes.
I like that's me personally.
dressing a nice
If
sidewall.
I'm dressing tires, I like having a nice sidewall to dress, and that's one of those weird detailer things that I look for.
No, that's
I
cool.
hate having a sidewall that's like too chunky with stuff,
Dude,
or
or too textured.
too
like
textured.
Like the
Yeah.
lines.
That's
I
just
hate
me.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember Matt and I when we got our tires and wheels on I got the Elantra done, and he had his Tucson done. We got our wheels, we got our tires, and he went with those Connies.
Yeah.
And oh man, I just really love that sidewall. It was so smooth. It looked really
Sporty.
good. Sporty.
Yeah.
Slick.
And he was like, "Yeah, it's my favorite part, dressing it." And now that I have him on the camera, I'm like, "Ah, I love this part, like because it's just smooth. There's no, you have
Yeah.
just the letters you have to worry about, but even then they fill in nicely.
Nice.
So.
Not bad.
Really.
But-
All right. So, how about the rest of our weekends? What went on?
Well, like I said, I did the training.
Yeah.
So very simple, very easy, great way. For those of you that aren't IDA members and maybe you've thought about taking the CD in a day, try and look out for some of these things. And the CD SV is the best deal to do that with. So
Yeah,
to
you
do
get
the
a lot
combo.
done.
And you get to learn some stuff. Plus, I like the way I teach. I wanted to be able to have everybody's input.
Yeah.
And it's something fun where we had one of our folks taking the test was able to to give his 2 cents. So that was really great. But
nice.
that was my weekend. We were home by 8. Pretty simple and basic.
Home by A.
Not bad.
8 p.m. on Sunday night.
Home by A.
Yep.
I like that.
All right.
All right, Anthony. What happened?
Did you work
your
on a car?
weekend?
You sent me videos at like midnight or 1 in the morning.
Yeah, is this a
Yeah.
detailing podcast where
Let's
I can talk about
talk about-
detailing?
Let's talk about some
we've been known to
stuff.
talk about detailing from time
Let's
to
talk
time.
about some detailing. I
Maybe
talked about
we'll humor them.
taking a certification at teaching,
Yeah.
a certified detailer examination.
Yeah.
But you
Well,
actually, as a CDSV, what did you
thank
do
you.
this weekend?
Thank you, Levi. Yes, Anthony CDSV here from the Rag Company, coming in to say that I did have a project on almost the whole weekend, Friday and Saturday. So my good friend Chris, he's the one that has all the really cool JDM cars. He's the one who I did his red GTR. And he's referred me to a bunch of other JDM people where I've done, Supras and all sorts of stuff. He just reacquired an RX-7 that he had. He bought an RX-7 several years ago.
Mhm.
It was I want to say it was a 93 or 94 FD RX-7 in red, and it's the R1 version. So it's the one that has the Swedish Alcantara style seats. It's got the stock front lip, the spoiler, a couple other little things. Came with like Bilstein shocks, and things like that from the factory. So it's a rarer version.
Yeah.
It's not like the what's the front nose version that has the different front.
The Spirit front
So
end.
it's not. So it's not the Spirit FD, which is
that
the
has
rarest,
the best looking side
Oh,
markers. They're such a
hands
good-looking
down one of the
front end.
best looking cars. But so it's not the Spirit front end, but it's the R1.
It's already a beautiful car.
So it's already already a great car.
Yeah.
So apparently what he did is he had this car. He bought it several years ago from a guy locally here. Guy autocrossed it. Chris bought it, had it for, I want to say, a matter of months, and then ended up selling it to somebody in Florida. A guy in Florida had it for a couple years, and eventually the guy in Florida says, hey, I want to buy a boat. Do you want to buy your car back? Chris is like, yeah, what's happened to it? Has anything gone wrong with it since you've owned it or anything? Guy says, no, I haven't put that many miles on it. It did get stuck in a hailstorm, so I had to get PDR done over the whole car. The whole top of it had to get redone. As you can imagine, is already kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, but that's pretty much it. So Chris was like, okay, well, I'll buy it back. So it got shipped over here on a trailer. The thing, when he showed me the pictures, it was terrifying. Like, this got
Made it
transported.
through a winter storm and a couple storms, road
dude,
storms.
Open trailer.
It was open trailer. It was black. The car
Yeah.
was black,
Yeah.
but it was just that filthy. So Chris is like, yeah, I washed it, but like, dude,
It's not clean.
he's like, it needs like some serious help. So that's when I went over there to check it out. So Friday night, the plan was get there, wash the car, chemical decon, and clay it and prep
Yeah.
it for Saturday. So went over there. Right after work, brought all the stuff, and it was actually a nice day on Friday, so it wasn't super cold, but did just the washout in his front yard, used the Wowo's fallout remover, worked beautifully. I could use it over the whole car, and really funny enough, I'm spraying that stuff. Chris is walking by. He's like, "Ooh, that smells good," and I'm like, I'm sitting here.
Another one.
I'm sitting here like, does anybody hear that? Did anybody hear that he said it smelled good, and he has no idea
You're
what
like,
this
am I
stuff
live
is?
right now that I could show people?
So I was like, crap. And so he's like, what is that? I'm like, honestly, this stuff smells like crap. And, in every other situation, it's just one of the best smelling fallout
Versions of
removers
it,
there
yeah.
is. And so, but use that, did the wash with the Wowo's detailer shampoo, knocked out the wheels, basically just did everything in one run. All the messy stuff I just did out in his front yard. And so just got it done really quick, pulled the car in. And that's when I started the inspection of it. And a couple things I noticed.
Yeah.
Couple areas, PDR wasn't, the PDR technician left upward dents. So they pounded something out, but it went too far, right? So a couple areas where there was a bulge in certain areas. Not that big of a deal, but it was just noticeable.
When you're spending that much time staring at something, you see it.
Yeah, and so, but notice that the car was swirled, deep scratched. It had brush marks on it from brushes. It had lots of different things, right? It had etchings all over the roof. It had all sorts of just interesting imperfections that I wish more people could have been there to see, because it was very interesting. And then we come to find out, looking at the passenger side, I'm like, oh wow, so there's some sanding marks and some deep sanding marks, 400 grit probably sanding marks, right?
Wow.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh crap, and those were base odor. Those were colored over and cleared over, right? That's how deep they were. These sanding marks were, and so they were basically in what looked like in the primer, And so
sketchy.
Oh, in the primer.
Yeah. So these were so deep in there, you can tell that they were.
So that panel had been repaired, and they weren't fully finished sanding before they sprayed color.
Yes, correct.
Ugh.
And so
ridges, and so poor repaint.
Yes. So whole passenger side.
Oh my gosh.
Rear quarter is where we first started to notice it because there was a color difference, right, going from the trunk into the rear quarter, and then going from there. That's when I looked at the door, and I was like,
and did this happen when Chris owned it previous?
Did
he notice that? Oh, okay. So
the guy lied.
So the guy had lied and said, "Oh, it got damaged."
That must have been
repaired.
some hailstorm.
So there wasn't anything on the title. There wasn't anything there. So
of course, so
it had been
do it.
So it had been resprayed, and where I could tell that because we thought it was just a recorder, and I started looking more close at the door, and I'm like, oh, crap! I'm like, I have some bad news. The door's resprayed too, and he's like, what? Are you kidding me? They didn't tape off the trim correctly, so there was red on the trim where they had resprayed it, and you can see the tape marks on it. And you can, I was just like, well, they resprayed this as well, but is what it is, right?
This is where detailers really shine, though, because they can spot this stuff that hardly anyone else notices.
Yeah, and the thing is like it's really like, I mean, a normal person would have probably never known that.
Yeah,
right. And they would have bought the car and not thought twice about it.
Yeah, I mean, because like for example, like if there was like maybe like dust specks within the paint or things like that were like a little bit more acceptable, would have been fine. I would have said, hey, it got resprayed, but it was a good job. But this was like sanding marks and things like that. That I'm like, hey, so this is not as great.
Yeah.
But went over the car, clayed the whole thing, Optimum Ultra Clay Towel, O&R. Everything went smoothly. It finished out just fine. And then Saturday I went back, and so woke up in the morning, packed up all of my stuff, and for some reason, like whenever you're packing detailing stuff to get ready for a job, especially when you're doing it mobile, you always feel like you're forgetting something, and like no matter what. And so packed everything up. Of course, forgot a couple of different things, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. But I get to the job, start in, I do my test panel, I do a front little portion of the hood there, and took me about an hour to find out the combination I was going to work the best because he's wanting to get it as close to perfect as possible. So,
because if he wanted it just fully corrected, you would have just gone in, maybe knocked the whole car down with some 3000 grit, hit it with some wool, and polished it all out.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get it. He didn't want that, and if you were going to be able to do it with a one step, you were going to try and achieve the best you could with a one step.
So that's
why the test area would take that, because you're trying to find the best correction with the best combination.
So here is the thing. Looking back, there was no area where I probably would have saved any more time going with 3000 versus what the system I already had. But like I had thought about that for some of the deeper areas. I should have said, hey, if I spent this amount of time on this scratch, I probably should have just had some 3000 in my back pocket and just hit it really quick and then just buffed it out, and I probably would have been fine. But the problem is that it's a 1993 or 94, whatever it is, and the paint on the roof was extremely thin. It already had failure on the wing. The mirrors are single stage. The vents on the side on the fenders are single stage. And so you had some areas where it was very spotty already. And so I'm sitting here kind of like, well, 3000 won't do that much, but it's more of the, if my pad is putting in more damage and I'm going to have to 2-step this, 3-step this anyways, right? I wouldn't even go for the 3000. I'm just going to go straight into polishing. Yeah. And then just whatever happens, happens. So my test panel ended up being finalizing on Rupa's hybrid wool, and then with TLC compound, and then Rupa's yellow with TLC compound, and that put it to about roughly, I don't know, like 85%. It was pretty good. It was, I mean, honestly, most people would have been like, yeah, that's good enough. I didn't have a softer pad. Honestly, I wish I would have had a black HDO, or I wish I would have had a green foam flat or something like that, because I wanted to just jewel it a little bit more. And what I ended up finding in my bag was a brand new orange waffle, right? And here's the thing: orange waffles on a long throw polisher, not ideal. Right. That backing material isn't as strong to withstand the heat that a long throw can create. But I love the finish of the waffle. So what I ended up doing is going with the orange waffle and hyper polish, and man, it was like I was like, I did that, and I'm talking speed of 2.5. Right. I'm
Nice.
basically just barely tapping the surface, and it was just that little extra amount to get it to where it's perfect. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm going to do. So, basically everything was a 3-step process, but I made pretty good time of everything. What was cool is that while we're in the garage, he's got his GTR in there. He's got his Mark IV Supra. He's got his Evo 9 on the lift, and I'm working on his RX-7. So he's working on his Evo 9, doing his he's doing his valve springs. He's doing all of that stuff because he's doing cams and everything on his. And I'm polishing, and he's a buddy of mine, so we're drinking White Claws, and we're just like we're having a good we're having a good time. And, like basically, I'm sitting here.
It's not a job.
It wasn't. No,
It was
Don't have
hanging
too
out.
many claws because then you won't be able to see
It was
the
you hanging
flaws.
out, having fun with your friend in a garage with some pretty cool cars.
Oh yeah, so it was not didn't feel like work by any means, but it was hard because like he's doing this stuff to the Evo, and he's like, oh dude, you want to see something crazy over here? Here, come check out check out how I bleed this, and check out how I do this. And I'm sitting here like, well, I'm interested to learn this, and I'm like,
Well, you're an Evo
I'm like
lover,
and I'm like,
Snap out of it. You got a job
I'm
to
going
do.
to be here until tomorrow if I don't actually start working. So I took some breaks here and there, but for the most part, it was pretty much just work. And so, went over the whole car, everything. Like I said, that system, I just had it in. It was at that point, it was like I knew it off like the back of my hand. I just kept walking through it. I did have a pad washer to make things really easy. But what I found is that I was running extremely low on last cut compound.
Yeah, that's scary.
Extremely.
Cut the bottle and go get a spatula from his kitchen.
So I was, if I were to take, let's just say this, I don't know, Monster, whatever. Morgan's coffee here, right? Let's just say if this is the compound bottle, I was about to right here. Right.
Yeah.
And so I was shaking it. I was banging it on things, right? Trying to get the last of it out. And that's when I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I'm halfway done with the car. Still halfway more. I don't have any more last cut compound. The rag company is closed right now. It's later in the day on Saturday. So I did reach out to Miss Morgan McMurry and I said, hey,
bring me some last cut.
Fam, do you have any last cut? And so she did. And she responded back and she's like, anything else you need? And I said, actually, yes, because I forgot my solution finish. I need some of that as well. And another hybrid wool pad if you have it in a 15, which she just happens to have all this stuff, which is great.
Good job.
So
Good job.
Morgan to the rescue.
So I DoorDashed it over.
Nice.
Yeah. So her and Brandon came over and dropped it off, and it was funny because Chris, he's really cool. He just doesn't want a bunch of people coming in his garage and taking pictures and things because he's got a lot of nice stuff. So I'm like,
then he saw, it's Brando.
Well, he wasn't there. He had to go.
Morgan
He
McMurry.
had to run a quick errand. So right when they showed up, I'm like, all right, guys, no pictures or videos or anything like that. And they're kind of like looking at me like, okay, Anthony, geez, fine. But then they walked in the garage and like, okay, now we see why.
Oh, shit.
And so what did Brandon like? What he saw in that garage?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, it's a he has everything that you would want, and it's just like
it's like a little JDM dream garage.
Yeah. But no, everything else worked out on the car great. Basically, the biggest hiccups I had, that spoiler's god awful. We tried to remove the spoiler, and then listen to this nightmare. Trying to remove it, there's a stud that goes from the spoiler into the trunk, right? Mm-hmm. The bolt goes from the bottom of the trunk into that. So basically the spoiler is studded. Got all the other bolts off. We get to the final bolt, right? And the stud starts spinning.
Oh,
no.
Yeah. So basically, we're sitting there turning this bolt or this nut, and it's spinning the whole stud in the assembly of the spoiler.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm looking at him. He's like, I'm sitting here. He's like, I'm trying not to freak out. He's like, it's fine. He's like, I'm going to spray it with some PB, see if it'll loosen it up. We'll hit it with an impact, see if I can get enough torque on it. We're sitting here. He's like, all right, pull. And he's like wrenching. He's like trying to get it off.
Oh my God.
It's still spinning. And I'm like, listen, dude, just leave it on here. It sucks, I know, but I'll just do the best I can. It just won't be as clean as if I were to have the spoiler off and hit the whole flat panel. So
he didn't clamp it with like a slide wrench or like a rubber grip and then do another?
Couldn't get around it because it was so recessed in there.
It's like in.
Yeah, so you couldn't get anything into there. We tried everything. He's got every single tool. And I'm just like, dude, I don't even know what to do. So we let that go and we said, forget it. So I worked around that. But the red turned out beautiful. After I was done, hit it with some paint prep, some Optimum paint prep, and he wanted a gloss coat on it. And I said, okay. I actually tried to say, hey, man, like, let's do crystal sealant and let's do showstopper because this car is going to look probably the most nuts it'll ever look. But he was like, honestly, man, I just really want to have like more of a ceramic on it just because of the, he's like, I want to autocross this a couple times. And then he's like, I know it's going to get gunked up. And I said, all right, well, because I'm wanting to see how good this thing can actually look, but he's wanting more longevity. So we went with gloss coat, which was still good. And that was it. I didn't even put OptiSeal on it because he says he's not going to be driving it in the rain. He says it's not going to see any weather. So he's
going to sit in the garage for the weekend, if not the whole week.
So I said, no OptiSeal. I'm just going to let gloss coat sit on it and cure. Hit the trim with solution finish. Cleaned up the glass, things like that. Nothing. Like I said, nothing too crazy. He was actually really impressed because I was like, I'm going to hit the tires really quick. And I started brushing on the tire restorer from WoWo's. And he's sitting there. He's like, that smells pretty good too. And I'm like, oh, you like it? I'm like, it smells like peaches. And he's like, it looks good. He's like, I like the way that looks. And of course, I look over in the corner and he's got a can of Hot Shine in there. And I'm like, of course, this is going to look good to him compared to the can of Hot Shine. But yeah, so he was super pumped though. He was super, super happy. I ended up finishing. I got there a little after 11. Ended up finishing about around 11. Yeah. But like I said, there was a lot of hangout in that time, and there was a lot of just talking and chilling and stuff like that. So, but it was just a fun project. I'm super happy with how it turned out, and I pretty much fell in love with the way the RX-7 looks. Yeah. It's such a unique car.
Well, it's fun to spend. What a lot of people don't understand, and I think this is why Morgan likes doing this, why you like doing this, why I like doing this. We get to actually like spend time on a car that is really unique and cool. And I know that's why a lot of detailers still kind of, I joke that detailers are jaded because we touch so many cars, we get to be in so many cars, feel so many cars, and we're not always like the normal person's like, oh man, I would love this type of car. And we're like, it's okay.
It's a car.
Yeah, but there's always that fun part when you actually get to spend time on a car where you're like, oh man, this is really neat. Like, that's why I like doing all the old cars. Yeah, I like being able to feel all the curves, all the shapes, all the stuff, and just spend that time.
I didn't feel that way about that GTR I did. Like I didn't feel like that kind of like connection of this is really unique and this is really cool. But for some reason, like that RX-7, I'm like, it's small, but it's like the bumper's cool on the rear, the bumper's cool on the front.
One of the coolest taillights ever.
It's a muscular car. I always loved those.
I'm like, this is just a damn good looking
17-year-old kid, and the guy would bring it through the car wash. There was a purple one.
They look bigger in pictures. When you see it in person, you're like, this is basically the size of a Miata.
Well, and what I loved is when he, when we had the car opened up and we were looking at everything. Dude, the interior's mint on it. It's got all the black interior, but with Alcantara seats. And I love it because it's got the same carpet that the Miatas have, which is that higher, durable, thicker pile.
It's tough. Yeah.
Very tough stuff. And I'm like, oh, God, it's got this good carpet in it.
That's the one thing I hate about my Camry.
Is that it has thin carpet?
It's got that thin, horrible, cheap carpet. It's one of those things that Toyota did to save. Volkswagen did it too. They put that in the Jetta.
Yeah, I know.
They put the same junky carpet from the Beetle.
Remember when people weren't securing their floor mats and there was accidental acceleration problem?
Yeah, it was probably because of that horrible carpet.
No, it's the same crap. The EVA has the same thin. Like you brush it once and it's done. Yeah. And you've now have to shave that fabric down to get that to where it looks right again. Whereas this RX-7 had that thick, deep pile woven. I'm like looking at them like they don't make them like this anymore. I'm like, and I sound like an old man saying that, but it's just really good stuff. And sitting in there too was just such a cool car. And it had I'm trying to think. So right now the car has 40,000 miles on it still.
Wow,
nice.
So he bought it back. The only reason why he wanted to buy it back was because it was an investment, and he knows that it's going to hold its value, and it still has a clean title regardless of the stuff that had gotten done. But the RX-7s are going to be the next Supra because his Supras that he has bought and flipped, which was funny. He said his biggest regret was selling that red Supra that he bought from Hawks that had whatever it was.
That was the one we detailed first. That was hilarious.
What I have on it, like 40,000 miles?
It was 40,000 original owner automatic Targa.
What did they sell it for?
Oh, it was
No, 30,000.
30,000. It was
he bought
it
for
was
30,000.
silly money.
And what year was that they sold that?
That was just several years ago.
That was 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. Yeah.
Oh boy.
So-
So yeah, that was.
No,
well, and they
but
were
it was
like,
an automatic. That's the one thing. But somebody who really
doesn't-
dedicated.
but
they would
it was an
matter.
old man
swap it.
who bought it brand new off
Yeah.
the lot. He put a dash mat on it. He
Oh,
put-
yeah.
He put seat covers, woolly like
You're
the
kidding me.
sheepskin seat covers on it. It was tan interior, red Targa. He had a tan dash mat. Had
Yeah.
the tan.
So that was mint.
This
when he
guy,
got
no,
it.
when we got it, he dropped it off because he was just like, I don't think I want to sell it, and consigned it.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
Consigned it to Hawks for 30.
Love those
Yeah.
Targas though.
It was
man.
like
Those-
28.
oh.
I think it was like 28,000. Like Hawks,
Mhm.
they were going to make like $1,500 off the deal.
Yeah.
Like not much. And Ryan was like, "This is a really nice car. You don't see these all that often." But they didn't understand the supermarket at the time.
Right.
So we detailed it, and the old man was like, just give it like a $200 detail. And we were like, Anthony or Nate, Matt, and I were like, we could do some stuff to this to really make this thing worth it.
I promise it's
but,
worth it.
But they were like, no, the old man only wants this much. So Chris got a steal on that car
Whoa.
Yeah.
when
So-
he bought it because they didn't know what they like. Nobody
So-
knew what they had.
So then somebody learns that Bring a Trailer is a website that
Oh, it was-
exists,
it
and
was-
then it just
Like I was in the process. Like I was leaving Hawks within about 3 months, and I was going to be coming to work to the rag company.
yeah.
And it was one of those. If I had the money to invest in that, I
Yeah.
would have done that.
Well, and you had a
like-
Mark II back in the day.
I had a
didn't
Mark
you?
II, yeah. But it was that where I go, man, like I knew what that car was worth, and I knew what kind of, but I didn't have
Yeah.
the money to pay it
Sure.
and flip it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
to
He-
see Chris get it, I was like, oh, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
Chris
Because
would buy it.
he bought it, sat on it for I want to say a year and a half, or probably
Yeah,
maybe a
just
little
put it
over
in
that.
storage,
And he said
basically.
he sold it for a little, I think you want to say he sold it for like 55 or something like that. So
Yeah.
he made about 25 grand off of it, right?
And even that,
Um,
like in the market of Supras, is
so-
still modest.
So he said his regret was selling that right as soon as he did, because he says that now that's an $80,000, that would be an $80,000 Supra
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
with 40,000 miles on it. He said people are paying. He says it's almost just kind of ridiculous
It
now.
is
And
ridiculous.
he said that because he has two other Supras, he has his other red one that he has, and then he has an anthracite color Supra. Even his red one, which is all done up, CCWs, it's on, it's making crazy power. It looks great as well. That thing's got 40,000 miles on it, whatever it is. He still said that would probably still fetch around 60 grand.
Yeah.
And then his anthracite one would probably be around maybe 60, maybe 55, 60. And so,
Does
yeah,
does he have an NSX also?
No, he doesn't have an
Okay.
NSX. But basically, he said that the RX-7, though, it's going in the same route as the Supras are. So he said, like, that RX-7, for example, that he has right now with the 40,000 miles, he says it's probably worth about, it's probably worth about 30, 35 right now. He said maybe in another year or two, it'll be in the 50s, and maybe a couple of years after that, it could be in the 70s.
They're going to get rarer and rarer.
Yeah.
But he just said that there's just not a lot around anymore. And that's where I was actually thinking back, and I was like, there was not even 2 years ago when me and Dane were downstairs, there was a forest green RX-7 that went up for sale with a tan interior, right?
Yeah,
and I was
beautiful
telling
combo,
Dane,
too.
I was saying, Dane, you should buy this car.
That is a really Dane car right there. It's green with a beige
And Dane was
interior.
like, oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can't afford that right now, but I totally would if I could. And I'm sitting here like, well, Dane bought the Jag years later, where he could have bought that RX-7 and would have gained probably 20 grand in value.
Put
in
it
the time he
this
owned
way. I love the Jag, but if I was in the position I was back then,
Yeah.
I probably would have bought that car because I love FDs. They're
Well,
awesome little
they're-
cars.
Yeah.
Dude, they're super nice. And so anyway, so that was my weekend. It was fun. Sunday was just pretty chill. Hung out with Jason, went and took some shots of his car, cleaned my house up, and that was pretty much it. I mean, we were going to install my exhaust on my Evo, but you remember how cold and started snowing, and I'm like, yeah, it's not really ideal weather to do this, and I'm not going to go drive it.
Well, and I
anyways
haven't given
after.
you any heaters.
Right.
Oh.
got to work on that.
So I did go and get a heater at Costco on Sunday morning. I went and got it's a Lasco something. It's a whole room heater, larger heater. And you tell me if this is good for what it is. It was $60, right?
Yeah.
It's taller, it oscillates, and it has fans that go like that, right? It
Okay.
shoots out about
Yeah.
90-degree heat. It got in an hour. It took my garage from 38 to 49, and I think thinking it was about another half hour. It was in the mid 50s, and it was comfortable.
That's not bad.
And I'm thinking for an electric heater, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's I'm thinking.
And honestly, you could add a second
little
electric in there to just try and add a little more
ceramic
heat.
guy.
Because I looked, because
all right.
everybody sent me. You know how many people? Shout out to everybody that sent me options after I talked about the heater thing, because I got all these people like, get this heater, get this heater.
The Rad Company podcast group.
So I love the idea.
Thank you to everybody who has joined.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love the idea of doing a gas heater eventually, one that just hangs from the ceiling, because some of those are really trick and really, really cool. The thing is like Chris in his garage, he has a gas heater in there or one that goes to his furnace, whatever it is, water heater, and works fantastic. It worked really, really good, and it got the whole garage super hot. But he's in there every single day.
Yeah.
I'm not in my garage every single day.
Honestly, wait to do something like that when you get your next house.
I get my long
when you get your
term,
actual garage that you want, and know that you're not going to grow out of that house for a while.
Yeah.
That was one of the points that I loved about the house we're in now, was even though it was a 2-car garage, I would have preferred a 3. I do have an RV pad, but it was the fact that it was insulated and heated.
Yeah.
And that was something for me where I was like, oh, well, this is nice.
Yeah.
And I do like it. Like, that's one of the things Carly was saying when we were driving home last night. She was like, I just really like that our garage is technically heated.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, because you have no idea how nice it is to get in a warm car. She said she walked into her sister's 6-bay garage.
Nice, cold, yeah.
And they got 24-foot ceilings in their garage.
Jeez.
That house is a monster. But it was freezing in their garage because they have no heat in it, and they don't have a heater.
Yeah.
Seems like a real missed opportunity.
But they don't use.
That'd be really expensive.
But like my brother-in-law doesn't use his garage. Even when he had his GTR, he's got a restored Bronco now. They sold the GTR.
But they don't have 6 cars, do they? I mean,
they have 6 cars, but everybody parks out front. They've got a U-shaped bed.
So is the garage just mostly empty?
Oh, it's full of stuff.
Oh,
you'd be amazed at the
stuff they
have.
pulled the storage unit is my garage. Thing.
Yeah. They've got a couple razors. He puts his Can-Am Maverick in there.
Yeah.
His wife uses the garage the most. She always parks in the garage. That's just my sister-in-law does that. But like you walk out and like their kids, they've got a Jeep Trailhawk. It's the little Jeep
Cherokee?
No,
or the Renegade.
Renegade Trailhawk. They have a white 2018 Elantra, and then my brother-in-law's got a white Platinum Tundra that he just bought. He sold his Fundra to his son.
Fundra, yeah.
So the Fundra's black. It's sitting there to their son. So and he's 22 now. Yeah. So he's got the Fundra. But my brother-in-law supercharged his Platinum, lifted it, tires and wheels, whole 9 yards. Truck's vicious looking as a white Platinum, but again, all sitting out. Yeah. So anyway. Morgan,
we've
dominated this. To all our friends that are listening, we apologize. Morgan.
Here I am. Hey, I didn't get any flat tires. I didn't detail any cars, and I did not travel to any scary cities. I pretty much didn't really do anything super exciting this weekend. On Sunday, I went to my parents' house and pretty much spent the whole day with them. My mom was receiving a donation, so I went to watch her go up on stage and get that. So she got a donation for the closet, so she was excited for that. And then later in the day, we went to set up, it's her 10-year anniversary on Tuesday. So since she's open and started helping people, it's 10 years since then. So we're having like an open house party kind of thing on Tuesday night.
Wow.
So I went over there to kind of help start setting stuff up and organizing stuff and making everything look good. So that was pretty much my weekend. Nothing crazy.
Well, guys have any cars for this following week or this next weekend scheduled out?
Anything for me? No. So I did another guy that happened to, funny enough. Sorry, Morgan, I don't mean to take this from you.
I'm done.
But
I'm done.
You know what's funny is that before Obsessed Garage was a thing, right? There was already people that were Obsessed Garage people without knowing they were Obsessed Garage people.
Exactly.
They don't even know what Obsessed Garage is, right?
Right.
Super funny. I'm doing Chris's detail on Saturday. one of his buddies shows up, right? One of his friends who he's autocrossed with or something like that to pick up a part from Chris. He walks in the garage. I see him. I kind of wave at him as I'm polishing. After a while, I put down the polisher, and he kind of walks up. He's like, "Oh, what are you polishing with there? What machine?" And I said, "Oh, it's a Rupes LHR 15 Mark II." And
hand built by Anthony himself.
Oh, I didn't say that yet. And I said that's a 15 Mark II. And he's like, "Oh, cool." He's like, "Well, that's not the latest model though, right? Because there's the 3." And I said, "Yeah, no." I'm like, "It's not the latest. Yeah, it's not. There is the 3. Yeah, you're right." And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "No, yeah, pretty nice machines." And I said, "So I'm like, so you know what this is?" He's like, "Oh yeah. I have the third one, the 15. I bought it because I just wanted to try polishing." And so I said, "So tell me a little bit then. So are you a detailer, or have you detailed before?" "Oh no, I'm just a guy. I bought the whole kit. I bought the pads and the machine. I bought all this and the compounds." And I said, "So what'd you buy it for?" And he's like, "Well, I just want to try doing one of my own cars." And I said, "So you bought a $500 kit to attempt to do your own car, right? But you don't do this, right? This isn't something you would do for fun or enjoy." He's like, "Oh no, I just I just kind of like nice stuff like that." And so I'm sitting here, I'm like, keep going. I'm ready to keep hearing
I'm
more.
gonna blow your mind unless you already
and
know.
So I'm like, "Well, what do you have out there?" And he's like, "Oh, I got my Jeep Trackhawk out there, right?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well," and like Chris over there, this guy doesn't know who I am, by the way. And he doesn't know it, but he just doesn't know who he doesn't. He doesn't know me. So he's sitting there. He's like, "Yeah," and you see that car over there that Chris is working on. I have that same car in silver. And I look over. I'm like, "Oh, an Evo 9?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I got one. It's it's really pretty nice.
The guy on
Pretty mint." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." I'm like, "Yeah, I got I have one too." And he's like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like,
You're just Bruce Wayne over here, like nobody knows. I'm Batman.
And so I'm just wanting to because he sees because I'm in my crappy
He's like, I also
Civic.
have an M3 that I really like that I'm bagging. I see this girl on Instagram I want to mimic.
And so it was just kind of funny because really nice guy, but like I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, yeah. I'm sitting here on my '99 Honda Civic, and so, but he's talking to these like, "Do you know what this car is? Do you know what you're working on?" I'm like, "Yes, sir. I know what these things are," and I start talking to him more and more, and he's like, "Yeah, so tell me about the whole line. Give me more of this detailing information." And so I start jumping into things, and he starts wanting to ask all these questions about ceramics. He's like, "Okay, can you tell me more about ceramics?" And apparently he used to be into chemistry back in the day, so he's wanting to know more about this stuff. And so he's like, "Yeah, I just like really nice stuff. I like a really nice, neat, organized garage. I like, having the nice equipment for being able to work on my stuff and being able to do, things like this." And that's when eventually I'm like, "Oh, so like kind of like obsessed garage." And he's like, "Huh? Who?" And I'm sitting here, I'm like, "Good God, they're everywhere, but they just don't know that there's others like them." Man. I'm like, that's why Matt just works so well for these people.
I'm gonna point you to a group, and you're just gonna wander in there and see what happens.
It's super funny because he's sitting there and he's like, "Would you be interested in maybe doing my Evo next?" And I said, "Here's the deal. You have everything you need to be able to do the same thing that I can do here. You just need to learn how to do it." I'm like, if you just drop that much money on a polisher, you better go get your money's worth out of it, especially if you have a 15 Mark III. But it was just kind of funny because I was just noticing, I'm like, yeah, to anybody else, you wouldn't know that. Yeah, I've done this kind of stuff before, but all he sees is a 99 Civic with a mismatched front door and a bunch of stuff. And so it was
like if you had a Trackhawk and you had it backed up there and that's what you're working out of, then that guy would be like, "Whoa, what are you doing?"
It'd be different.
It is funny the car level. It's like that's one of the reasons. I guess that's one of the things that I love, but it's also like it feels weird to not be a point of pride. We all want to have the nice car. We all want to have that kind of a neat image. My dad was notorious for always wanting to be under the radar and be very subtle.
It's fun.
And
it's nice.
That's one of the things he loved so much about driving. Like my dad, his little daily driver is a Nissan
Versa, right? Yeah.
A little 4-door Nissan Versa with manual windows and a stick.
Yeah.
And he goes, it's got AC and a CD player, and that's all. And he would drive that to Micron. And my dad, at the time, when he worked at Micron, he answered to the vice president of facilities and the CEO. And that was it. And my dad was in charge of building and constructing every single test area for Test World for all of Micron. And my dad's high up. And he goes, the guys that worked under him would all have, they'd spend $80,000 to $100,000 on cars.
Audis,
They would buy, they all had massive, huge houses that they would buy. Like, they all made crazy money. And my dad was right there with them. But my dad would drive an $8,000 car
and have
to
the
work
oldest
every day.
microwave still
have the
existing
oldest
to this
microwave
day.
existing. My dad has a 2,000 square foot house, but what my dad would spend his money on is houses and hot rods. And so he's got a very extensive car collection, and he has very large 2 shops now that hold stuff. But his whole thing was, I like being, like, I like that. I like being able to be that guy where he'd go over to a buddy's house and he'd help him work on something, and another guy would show up in something cool, and he'd just see my dad's little car out there, and he's like, "Oh, Brad, this is the new C63 or the new S63 Mercedes." And my dad's like, "Yeah, I know, yeah."
Yep.
My dad knows everything there is to know about cars too, but he liked being in like what your position, where you're just like, "Oh, really? Okay, that's cool." It's kind of fun.
It was just interesting
to just know that,
Well, because not everybody has like Instagram, and not everybody knows all that kind of stuff. So it was just totally just a normal talk of, hey, see that car over there? I have one of those in silver. And but then I feel
you're
weird.
Like, I have one too.
Yeah, I feel weird. I'm like, I have one too, but you probably think I'm full of crap because I'm in that old beater Civic out there. But it was just it was funny. But Chris was, after he was here in the car, he was working on his car. He was like, "Oh yeah, he has one." He's like, "It's really nice." And the guy's like, "Really? It's But it's that point where I say, whether or not you believe me, do you want? I can show you pictures of this guy on Instagram that I follow.
Look at these pictures you downloaded off Google image search.
Yeah. No, and that's one of the funnest things.
Just better to leave it.
Now let's knock out some business, guys. What you've all been waiting for, launching today or yesterday, if you're listening to this on the next day. The Gauntlet has finally arrived.
What?
Yeah. The Gauntlet is available.
Choose your side.
Choose your side.
Dark versus light.
I think the dark side dries better.
I think it's the light side that actually dries a lot better.
So the Gauntlet is available. Comes in 4 sizes. 12/12s in charcoal gray, the darkness, so that you can dry your wheels. Premium drying towel for wheels or anything else that you need, but it's going to be a 12/12. It's available. 70/30 suede edge, all that good stuff. 70/30 Korean microfiber. Then we've got a 15/27.
Yeah.
Perfect drying size. Then a 20/30 available as well.
Wow.
Fun.
And finally, the biggest gauntlet of them all.
Beast.
A master dryer, if there ever was one.
What?
30/36.
Wow. That's
big
huge.
towel.
That's just excessive.
Here's the thing, for those of you that are wondering, this week only, in appreciation of the launch of the Gauntlet, 20% off all drying towels.
Wow.
Here at the Rag Company.
Oh.
So you could pick up all 4 gauntlets at 20% off.
Insane.
And you can pick up some Dry Me Rivers, you can pick up some Pluffles, you can pick up some Twist and Shouts, maybe some double Twistresses as well.
Because believe it or not,
20% off.
there are benefits to each and every one of those. The Gauntlet's going to be awesome, no question, but it doesn't mean that the twist piles are any less effective than they've always been, or the waffle weeds, or anything
really
else
great
like that.
stuff. You'll be able to get those. And here's the other thing we're adding in for fun. If you guys, what I've got out here on top, what are these, Anthony?
Whoa, snap, he's got them.
Is this my other cars and Elantra sticker?
Yes. So here's the deal, guys. What we have left of the My Other Cars and Elantra sticker, we are going to be giving away. All you have to do in your order this week is put that in the comments when you guys place your order. If you want My Other Cars and Elantra sticker, we will throw it in for free in your order.
Yes.
So we're also going to go live. This basically tells supplies last. We have them in black, silver, and white. If you want to ask for a specific color, we'll see if we give it to you. But we don't have that many available, so it's as supplies last.
Yeah.
And it's just something we're doing.
Yeah.
We'll announce it on our live on Facebook as well.
Later today.
Yeah, it's just something that if you're going to be buying a new towel, you're going to get an order, we're going to throw in a free My Other Cars and a Launcher sticker if you ask for it.
Wow.
Highly
Nice.
coveted.
So,
Highly
yeah.
Highly coveted. And pick up some WoWo stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have some fun with it. Play with it. Dane.
And you don't have to order drying towels. Basically, any order, all you got to do is say you want My Other
Yeah,
Cars
but
and
you
a
want to
Launcher
get to
sticker.
that free shipping. So
You
You
do.
want to get that free
Rack it
shipping, and
up.
why not?
Now, Dane, take it away. Take it home.
All right, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. If you're here on the Rag Company Podcast YouTube channel, and as mentioned, check out the sale that's going on today. And what's going to remind people, how long is it on for?
It's on this whole week.
The whole week?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And I think into the weekend. So I think it's going to last about a week from Monday
Okay.
to Monday.
A week of drying.
okay, you
week
got
of
some
drying.
time. You got some time. But I want to ask you to do something else right now that doesn't require you to buy anything, doesn't require you to do anything other than just take a moment of your time.
Subscribe to Master of Shine on YouTube.
Yes,
we got almost
that.
This is crazy.
You
I
got a
have like
lot.
120 followers now.
Yeah.
Guys, I need to get to 1,000 so I can start producing some live content for
Yep.
you. I would appreciate it.
Levi's
You're
like,
the
that's
greatest.
that's the only thing I can really figure out how to do, and I will
right
do
now,
that.
Tell a
I'm going to
friend.
be, for those of you that want to hear me at home, that's what
Levi,
I'm doing.
you're a great presenter. You may not necessarily edit a lot of video, but you can do a live.
I
as
can
good
do a
as
live
anyone.
as good
So
as anybody.
let's get him to 1,000. We want to help him out here so he can start doing.
But what's
those.
more important, Dane?
Well, more important though, I wanted to point out that people should be leaving reviews for us on
Yes,
the podcast.
please.
Not only like thumbs up in the videos here on the channel, but also head over to iTunes. I don't care if you have an Apple device or not. If you just go on to
You can leave a
iTunes,
review.
if you have
Yeah.
a login there, go leave a review, leave a star review, and then write something. I don't care if it's super positive, super negative. Just tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
Leave us a review, and that helps us get in front
Hey.
of more people.
Vote, leave a review, and talk about how you want Dane to bring his Christmas tree back because he got rid of it.
Oh, I wasn't going to bring it up, but there were some very upset people. And it's funny? What finally brought it down, I had to laugh.
Packed
I
it
was
away
like,
for
ultimately, what took down my Christmas tree that had been up for years was a Christmas gift.
Oh.
The Roomba kept getting stuck
the Roomba.
on the base of the tree. And then Liz and I are both
DJ
like,
Roomba.
yeah, I think it's time. And then I just started packing it out. And she didn't believe I was actually going to get rid of it. And then she came out to the living room like an hour later. Something's different.
Is there a piece of artwork
And then
now that
looking
she
around,
wants to
she's
put
like,
up? Perhaps you could buy something that looks like a Christmas tree.
So it's feeling a little odd not having that glow of the Christmas tree over there, which I realize is kind of hokey to some people, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't like a colorful Christmas tree; it was just white lights, but like that warm light. Any rate, thought that was kind of fun.
Just buy a lamp, Dane.
Spoiler alert! But I don't want to leave a lamp on all night. Those lights, I didn't
Well,
care. They didn't use
LED
a lot of
bulbs.
They're LED, and
Use
they didn't
almost
use a lot
no
of energy.
No
Yeah.
energy, and you could put that in a lamp.
You know how many light bulbs I change out in my
We need
house
to
on a
go.
regular
We need
basis.
to- we need to
I
go
am
right now.
extending
This
this
is it.
beyond
It
the point of
is-
reason. Guys, thank you so much. We will catch you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.